Full truth of the gospel. Forgiveness is by faith. I want to tell you, salvation is by faith too. Faith is trusting Him to do in me what I cannot do myself. You couldn't get your sins forgiven even if you had burnt 1,000 candles and gone on 1,000 pilgrimages and done 1,000 good works. It was free. It's exactly the same with salvation. If you can trust Him, but you must want it. You can't get a man to have his sins forgiven if he doesn't want it. And you can't get a person to be saved from sin if he doesn't want to be saved. Do you want to be saved? That's what the Lord asks you. Do you want to be free from that sinful habit? Will you come to me? Are you desperate? That's a great verse I want to show you in the book of Exodus. When the children of Israel were slaves in Egypt, think of this picture of you being a slave to sin. Exodus chapter 2. In Exodus chapter 2 in verse 23, this is the first step to walk as Jesus walked. Exodus chapter 2 and verse 23. It says here, and it came about in the course of many days that the king of Egypt died. That's the king that knew Joseph. And the sons of Israel sighed because of the bondage. Now listen to this. Do you sigh because of your bondage to sin? The children of Israel in Egypt, they were slaves, whipped by the taskmasters, and made to work from early morning 6 to late in the evening. Are you like that? Sinning, sinning, sinning. Satan driving you with a whip. Come on, do that, do that. Disobeying God. That's how the children of Israel were. They sighed, and they sighed. And they cried out, "Oh God, deliver us from this slavery." I want to ask you whether you ever cried out like that, to be saved from some sinful habit. And their cry for help because of their bondage rose up to God. And I'll tell you this, there was a day in my life, 37 years ago, when my cry for help, I said, "Lord, I'm sick and tired of my defeated life." And my cry for help rose up to God. I was born again. I was going to heaven. I was just defeated, slave. The devil could drive me to sin, and I could not overcome him. I cried out. It's only God who could deliver those Israelites. Can you imagine those Israelites trying to free themselves from Pharaoh's power with any amount of their own ability? Even though there were 2 million of them, they could not deliver themselves from Pharaoh's power. God set them free. And it's like that with you and me. And the next verse, verse 24 says, "So God heard their groaning, and He will hear yours." If He hears a groaning,